So first and foremost, so my name is Zach. I'm joined by Robin, who is over at our career services team. We're joined by Jono and Kieran. I head up the clouds team here at the Learning People. The big purpose for why we're looking to run this webinar in particular is because of the big increase we've had for people looking to start making a career change and go into cloud-based roles, cloud-based certificates, and increase their education there, alongside with what we've had such a big effect because of COVID and the demand that's in tech. So that's the main purpose for why we're looking at running this webinar. What I'd like to do is start off by talking a little bit more about who we are at the Learning People and what you can expect, our students expect from our studying. So we've been providing online learning for around 11 years now. We've got just over 26,000 current students globally. We provide online professional education throughout all different departments in IT. We are the leaders within Europe for cloud and cybersecurity. What we look to do especially is work out, or most importantly, what your background is and what you're interested in doing, what kind of career change this is for you and why you want to make this transition. Within IT, there are lots of different certificates, especially in an area like cloud. And if you are doing research, sometimes it can be difficult to what might be the best certificates for you, dependent on your background and the experience that you have. So we'll always look to have a consultation first with one of our career consultants where they can really understand what your background is, what this actually means to you. They can then recommend the best qualifications from there. We support you throughout all of the studying. It's obviously all the official learning here. And then towards the tail end of your learning is when you'll work with Robin and the rest of the career services team, the great work that they do to help you make that transition and move into the industry and find work. Now, we are regulated and accredited by the Learning and Performance Institute, a globally recognized educational standard body who look after ourselves and make sure that we provide the right duty of care for our students. And we are Partner of the Year many times over with CompTIA, who I'll talk about in a short period of time. So what we'd like to start off with really is talk about why cloud computing. It's a big topic that we hear about all of the time. Why are so many people looking to make a transition into this key area? I've put some simple statistics there to make it quite straightforward to begin with. So in 2018, only around 45% of companies were on the cloud. That was obviously increased in 2019 to 65%. And in 2021, Cisco predicts that nearly 95% of all companies are based on the cloud. Now, this comes for a number of different reasons, and I'll talk about business benefits shortly as to why a lot of these key areas are. But I think, as we all know, over the last year in particular, we are seeing how important remote working is for starters. Everyone knows about how hard we've been impacted by COVID-19, and a lot of businesses are in place as well. We need to make sure that everyone has access within businesses to the data that they need to use. And we'll focus on three key areas in this webinar. First of all, it's going to be talking about business costs. So how much money businesses actually spend on cloud-based services, or if they're not on the cloud, what it might cost to run a server room. We'll look at a key area, which is obviously going to be enabling mobility. So when we talk about that remote working. And finally, which I think is probably the most important issue, is the security risks that are involved as well. Cybersecurity, cloud security in particular, is a massively in-demand area. I know that in 2024, the industry as a whole globally is predicted to be worth $636 billion US dollars around the world, which is a huge number compared to any other area that's outside of IT. So to start this off, let's go through benefits of cloud computing. So reducing costs and increasing profit. I don't know how many of us have worked in an office before, but nearly all offices you'll go into will have a server room. In these server rooms, servers require a huge amount of power to run servers. Not only that, you need to have people who are qualified to operate on these servers. You need to be responsible for maintaining them. You need to be responsible for, if anything was to happen, you would then be responsible for fixing those servers. It takes up a part of the business offices as well. It takes up space. And a key area that a lot of people don't understand is that you're constantly paying a rate. When you outsource cloud-based services, where you go to one of the giants like Amazon, or Microsoft Azure, you're only going to be charged for the amount of data that you're using. It's also far more predictable for companies to understand what kind of costs will be involved moving forwards. So it's always financially far more beneficial for companies now to start actually outsourcing where they store their data and be able to increase their profit margins by having another company look after it who is specialized in an area like doing so. Moving on from there is enabling mobility. Now, mobility is a huge part moving forward. So I personally, I don't think that the working life as we knew it from before 2019 will ever be the same. I'm on Forbes quite regularly on LinkedIn. There's constant articles talking about how this flexible working life balance between being in the office and being from home is going to be a part of the future moving forwards. Businesses need to make sure that people can access the data when they need be. And that could be anywhere around the world. People will be able to access their data more efficiently. It's obviously more up to date. They can access it from wherever they are, and it will reduce business costs again. It will increase efficiency, and it enables people to be able to make this transition into working from home and having that better work-life balance, as a lot of us prefer. I know I do as well. And enabling that mobility is a key part to all industries moving forward from here. A key area that I think is most important in particular is cloud security. Now, if anyone is looking at or any kind of research into an area like cloud security, I think it's nearly every day now that we hear about some kind of security attack. You know, I got my COVID jab a few weeks ago. I think I've probably had 15 different texts come through telling me about getting my COVID jab that are all phishing texts to come through. Cloud security, as we've had 30% of all industries around the world move online, there's now massive risks involved. Are these businesses now secure? If they're using an in-house cloud platform, do they know that those security protocols are up to date? Can they be hacked into? British Airways is a prime example. The last time I saw on this, I don't know if everyone remembers the big attack that happened to them, that big data breach that happened to them. That cost British Airways around 182 million pounds was the end result for them. I know that Equifax a few years ago were fined 500 million for a data breach. As we move more and more online and we become more and more vulnerable, these security protocols need to be a key priority for businesses. So what that means for a lot of our students, I suppose to align this back to yourselves, is a lot more opportunity. Cloud security, we need to have people who understand how to maintain cloud-based servers. We need people who are qualified in preventing these cloud attacks and these security risks that are involved. We need people being able to be qualified with these big giants, which I'll talk about shortly, and be able to protect these cyber attacks, prevent data loss or data prevention is obviously a big area, disaster recovery. We need people to maintain these services, and it's a massively in-demand area. Not long ago, I saw an article from Indeed where they talked about having 3 positions available for every 1 person qualified with the right education in cloud here in the UK. It also has a 0% unemployment rate. So for a lot of our students, a lot of the people who come to us over the last year, we've sort of been overwhelmed with people who've been affected by COVID, and we're doing a lot of things to try and support those who have been. But for a lot of those people, job security is a huge interest of theirs. And when we talk to people about making a transition into tech, there isn't always just one road that suits for everybody. But certainly if someone wants to look at an area where they know that they're going to have a future-proof career, or they know that someone's going to be in demand, where they can earn good money, and they can have that flexible working balance, cloud is a huge opportunity for them, because we know that the industry is statistically growing at an enormous rate year on year. Every area we look at, if you looked at an area like cybersecurity, cloud security is the big issue. So for people who do want to transition into tech, cloud does offer by far the most opportunity for almost all of those people. And with the right certificates, it's actually surprisingly quite an easy transition to make, which I'll talk about shortly as well. So if we move on from there, very briefly, I don't know if everyone can actually see, I'm going to try and move this to the side just so people can see the meeting room. this is just a clear example where I want to talk about the giants within the industry. So there's three key giants really that anybody who's doing any research into cloud, that needs to be aware of. First and foremost is AWS, so Amazon Web Services. Second is Microsoft Azure. And finally is Google Cloud. Now, AWS own around 32% of the market share. I know that AWS sales make around 12 to 13% of all of Amazon's sales annually, that is, and that works out to be about $50 billion year on year. I know that Apple pay Amazon £30 million a month for cloud-based services. And I know that Pinterest have paid them nearly $1 billion for the cloud-based services as well, which is an enormous amount. Closely behind them is Second. For anybody who's looking at making a transition into cloud, you are going to need to get certified by one of these giants. They provide the qualifications, they provide the material. We work very, very closely with Amazon. In fact, the same learning platform that Amazon use is the same platform that our students will use as well. So it's all the official education. But anyone who's looking at making a transition will need to get certified by one of these giants. And the most important of them all to get these foundation skills is an organization called CompTIA, who I'll talk about very shortly. From a career changes point of view, AWS is where your focus needs to be. Cloud is an ever-growing market. There is billions and billions of dollars being funded into this industry. If you are looking at making a transition, you need to make yourself as employable as possible. Now, that means getting the best recognized education and getting the best recognized certificates. In an area like tech, if you are a career changer, the career services team, Robin, I know she'll take over shortly. She can talk about this. But the education that you have and the certificates that you have is a key area as to why people are going to hire you. You need to make sure you get the official learning and the official certificates. And Amazon are the best recognized vendor on the market today, and they will be for a long period of time. The certificates are very short, and you want to make sure you get certified by them to be the most employable candidate to then go on and make that transition. And this graph just clearly has a demonstration of that. And it's very recent, obviously, to Q4 from 2020. Moving on from there very shortly, let's look at CompTIA, which you would have heard me mention very briefly. So CompTIA are the Computing and Technology Industry Association. If anyone haven't heard of them, they're certainly one of the larger and the more important of all of the IT awarding bodies around the world. The two key reasons for, or one of them I think is very important, is they're nonprofit. But the key reason for that is because they are what you call vendor neutral. Now, AWS certificates are very short, so are Microsoft Azure. If you're a career changer or a career starter, you can't expect to just go and sit one short cloud-based specific certificate to then move into a cloud role. You need to build foundation IT skills first. Now, that doesn't mean taking on a huge amount of curriculum or studying for a prolonged period of time. The reason for it is because, for example, cloud is all on a network. You need to have a good understanding of networks to begin with. Before you can understand networks, you need to understand basic hardware, software. But before you even start looking at, will I understand the curriculum? It's all about building credibility. For our students, this is a serious investment. If they're going to make a big change and make this transition, you need to make sure you take the right steps. And CompTIA are the best foundation awarding body to have, because they will make you qualified across all different vendors and be the most employable candidate to then make that transition and build these foundation skills. We have a fantastic relationship with CompTIA. We are platinum partners with them. We've been partner of the year with them globally for two years running. We've got approximately, it's around 70 students certifying and passing CompTIA exams every single week. And as I mentioned before, they are the key awarding body to bring yourself up to date and make yourself an eligible, ideal candidate that employer knows that you're there to make a serious investment and make that transition, and then specialize with a body like AWS for a foundation certificate from there. Okay. What I would like to do is introduce Robin. She is over at our career services team. She's going to do a short segment just talking about some of the great work that they do. I'm going to be quiet very quickly, fortunately, and Robin, you can take over and talk about some of the great work that you guys do over there.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks for that lovely introduction. So yeah, I'm Robin. I'm a member of the Career Services team. Prior to me joining Learning People, I have a background in technology recruitment. So that does put me in a really good position to start to help our students make themselves stand out in the market. And essentially the real crux of what we do at Career Services is it's our job to help students to become job ready, to navigate the job market and navigate that career change. So we've designed a 3-phase process that we guide students through in order to facilitate this. Phase 1, well, we normally get you to commence once you've completed your first certification. Okay, it gives you a good starting point, and it means that you've got a better idea as to how you're going to present yourself, or at least be able to navigate the career change in updating your CV and LinkedIn towards your new industry. So phase 1, it's all about building your professional brand. So it comes as a pack, and there are 3 ebook guides to help you. So it's about researching your new role, which will help you present yourself in your CV and LinkedIn. There's also CV and LinkedIn guides as well to help you showcase your transferable skills. You know, you're all here because you've got skills that will be applicable in the IT kind of world. So it's just all about demonstrating that. And that's what we help you do at phase 1. About building your credibility as an IT professional. And so we'll then have a consultation once you've updated them, and we'll work together and we'll go forward and back until you have a CV and LinkedIn profile that is to both the professional and an industry focused standard as well, right? That's really important. I will not allow you to go to market with a subpar CV or LinkedIn profile. So once we finalize that, we then progress you on to phase 2, which is all about networking and people networking in this sense, right? And it's all about building contacts in the industry, because the unfortunate thing is that, you know, networking is incredibly effective for job seeking, but it tends to get neglected nowadays because the online job boards exist. But the thing about the online job boards is they're not a true representation of the availability of opportunities in the market. They only represent 30%. So if you are not networking and approaching companies directly, you are missing out on that 70% of opportunities available in the hidden market. And at Career Services, we can help you kind of uncover those opportunities. And because the job boards aren't totally reliable, but you have to use them, and you have to use a multitude of approaches. At phase 2, we help students to structure a targeted plan, doing exactly that, balancing multiple different methods of approaches to give you a much better probability of achieving a positive result, which is an interview. So then phase 3 covers interview tips, job application techniques like how to beat that applicant tracker system or AI CV reviewer. And we also give you a focus on how to build relationships with recruiters. And that's the general kind of 3-phase process, but it is tailored to the needs of each individual student. And we go completely at your pace and in around your circumstances. So the support will be available to you all the way up until you start your new role. And you'll have that one-to-one kind of support available with a consultant like myself throughout your entire journey. And like that, it's totally tailored to yourself and where you're looking to go into the industry. So that's all for me.
Yeah, that's great. I couldn't say it better myself. One thing I would actually like to say, like echo what Robin said there, is the job boards. I know from my own experience, family members who are looking at job boards, with the amount of people that have been affected by COVID-19, all of those people now have CVs. Everyone is updating their CVs and everyone is swarming the job boards. And to be able to have someone like Robin, background in recruitment in IT, who's been in this industry for a long period of time, to be able to tell you to start, where to start looking, how to actually start networking. I really find it difficult to put a price on what that actually could be like, to have those networks put in place for you. And for me, when we talk to our successful students and when the consultants talk to successful students making this transition, without doubt, the big responses is how fantastic the Career Services team are. So from me, I know that we couldn't do it without the great work that Robin and the rest of the team do. So thank you very much, Robin.
Thank you, Zach.
No problem. What I would like to do from here is go into a small Q&A piece that covers most of the content that I'd like to cover specifically about cloud computing. We have had some questions come through from a couple of people submitted beforehand, so I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. Bear with me and find where these questions are. They were emailed through before this webinar went live. So just bear with me. Where are they? I believe that Robin might have some of these as well. I might even ask Robin to answer a couple of them for me if they are more relevant for the
Sure.
career services team. So let's have a look here. First question I have is from Francis. So do I need to have previous experience to enroll into the course and start a career in cloud computing? Very good question, Francis. I don't know if you're joining us today. That's a very good question. So you would need to work out where you would need to start. That's down to the consultant's position. We wouldn't recommend you to start studying cloud computing, as covered within 5 or 10 minutes ago. We would look at building your foundation skills first. You would need to have a good understanding of what hard drives or basic hardware and software components are. You then want to start looking at networking to understand how to troubleshoot where networks are vulnerable. Then you'd be an ideal candidate to start taking on some cloud computing roles from there, or cloud computing education from there. So it's a very good question. Thank you, Francis. We have Kalichi from there, which is this suitable for someone who isn't already in IT, and how will they cope? Absolutely. So the career consultant will work out which will be the best course collection for you, dependent on your background and your experience. The key part to our learning is an education platform which is owned and is delivered by an organization called Skillsoft. And they are by far the most accredited online learning platform provider anywhere around the world. They've actually trained people to work for the Ministry of Defense. They've trained people to work at Google and Amazon. And throughout there, you have one-to-one tutoring support available from Monday to Friday from 2 till 10 p.m. You have a dedicated student care team. You have a dedicated career services team. I personally find that people will feel they've got more support than most people actually need. But with online learning in particular, it's really important to make sure if you do have any questions, you do need support, you've got someone there for you straight away. So the career path that you would move on to would be tailored specifically to what education that you have now and what you want to do moving forwards. There's a question there from James. What are the possible job opportunities in cloud computing? That sounds like a good one for Robin, if you would like to answer that one, please.
Yes, absolutely. So there's a huge range of jobs that you can get out of the cloud, because we know it's become such a priority for organizations. So there's a lot of need and a lot of new kind of creation of roles in this area. So I'll kind of start and go in levels up. So you've got like a cloud administrator, a cloud engineer, cloud security administrator, cloud security engineer, and then cloud security analyst and cloud architect. So that's kind of going everywhere from entry level all the way up, architect level being incredibly senior. So that just shows kind of how integral this is, I suppose, for the IT environment, let's say, or sphere going forward. Then, there's a huge need for the roles. That's why there's been such a range of, let's say, a whole department created.
Absolutely. And within cloud, there are many different job titles, but the nature of the work can be quite similar. Like you'll see cloud engineer, you'll see software engineers, you can see senior cloud engineers, cloud administration. I always recommend people not to focus too much on the job title, but look at the skills that's requested, because you'll find a lot more opportunity based on what skills that you have.
Absolutely. Different companies call the same role different things as well. So always look into the requirements and the responsibility of the role rather than focusing just on the titles.
Absolutely. We have 2 more questions here. So Anka, can you work remotely or work from home in cloud computing? Absolutely. That is one of the big reasons to why people actually move to work in an area like cloud or tech, is because you have that flexible working balance, and that is such a key focus for many businesses moving forward. You'll find that it actually saves companies a lot of money. If you think about how much money they spend leasing offices, if you think about the time that people spend traveling to and from work, some companies pay for travel to and from work. People are more efficient working from home. They sometimes work earlier and work later in the day. Working from home is going to be a really big part to all different industries moving forward. In particular, in an area like cloud computing, it's one of the big benefits that you have, because you are just able to work anywhere in the world. And finally, the last question that we have here is from Piers. I hope that I pronounced your name correctly. Which is the best between AWS, Azure and Google Cloud? Okay, good question. And I don't want to talk too much about this because I can get carried away. For a career changes point of view, AWS is definitely the vendor that you want to be looking at getting certified by. The main reason for that is because they are and they have been the market leader for such a long period of time. Because they own such a large area of the market, it then, will make you the most employable candidate to have their official certificate on your CV. In saying that, many companies will still use Azure and many companies will use Google. The key thing that I think to take away from that and take away from this, essentially this question, is that there is so much opportunity out there in cloud. You're not going to be restricted for job roles if you went for one vendor. It's not like someone would struggle to find work.
If I can just chime in there on that as well, in my own recruitment experience, the general ideas of the platforms are very similar. So I've never had it where a candidate has been blocked due to just having experience with one of the main three. If you've got experience with one of the main three, you can transfer that into another organization. Let's say if they use Azure or a GCP, Google Cloud Platform, it's transferable. So it's never blocked a candidate in my experience.
Absolutely. And that goes hand in hand with what Robin was just saying before about the job roles. You look at what skills they actually want to have in the job title, not saying I want a Microsoft Azure Cloud Architect or something, for example. They might actually say that they use AWS products as well. So if you wanted to narrow it down and get certified by one, in short, AWS should be where you'd focus, but there is so much opportunity with either one of those two key giants. Now that does conclude almost all of the information I'd like to cover today. What I am going to do very quickly is just go back to a quick share screen so you can see my direct contact details here. If you'd like to just bear with me. I'm going to share my screen here. So like I said, so I head up the cloud team here at the Learning People. My name is Zachary Lowndes. My email address is right there. So zachary.lowndes@learningpeople.co.uk. Thank you, Robin, for coming in. It's been great having your input on here as well. If anyone has any specific inquiries, it's very easy just to inquire straight on our website. However, by all means, please feel free just to email me out directly. I might even be able to give you a call personally to work out what your background is, how we can help you, or I'll put you in contact with one of our consultants who'll be able to work out what would be the best opportunity for you and get you into the careers that you want. It's important for you. So from me, thank you everybody for coming. It's been great to have you here. And I hopefully look forward to speaking with some of you shortly. Thank you very much.